do I do? Well, I guess there's only one thing. There's something I'd like to know. Are you real? Can you feel?
Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube. I use spirit, my intuition, the tarot to communicate energies to you guys, fantastic viewers. I am so glad you guys found me. At last, we are united. And for those of you guys returning, I'm so blessed, so grateful to do your reading today. You guys are all very safe and welcome in this space with me. Today's reading will be using all of these decks, and these are your 3 picks. Okay, so I don't normally set this up this way. So if you guys want to go straight away to your pick, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And this is how I'm doing it. And if it doesn't sit well with you, then it might not be your reading. Okay, so my channel, and I was called to do it this way. So I don't know, people get very triggered, with certain things, and they're allowed to get triggered, and it's absolutely fine if it doesn't sit well. But for me, I've made peace with what I'm not. And I'm not a lot of things for a lot of people. And that's absolutely fine. I made peace with that. And then after I made peace with it, I opened up my own YouTube channel. So, hey, you don't like it, and that's fine with me. Okay, so these 3 options, and these are the decks. If you guys are interested in any of these decks that I'm using, I do have a deck flip through, and I will link the playlist for you guys who do like looking at the decks before you purchase them, so you guys can see what the cards are all about. Now, today's reading, what are we doing? We are going to be looking at what is getting in the way of your ascension / healing / shadow work, whatever is sort of slowing you down. It could definitely be a belief structure system, or some form of attachment or identity story, or whatever pulls through here. Okay, so we'll take a look at what pulls through. Now, don't take anything that isn't resonating for you guys. I normally include my disclaimer with all my readings, standard disclaimer, but I don't know if I'll be doing that anymore because I don't think YouTube likes it very much for the same sort of content on a repeat, but I will include a disclaimer for this reading. So for those of you guys who want to skip ahead, like I said, you can go ahead to your reading 1, 2, 3 to take a look at those 3 piles. All right, but for the disclaimer here, if it's your first time to tarot, to my channel, then I do highly suggest that you listen to this disclaimer. It is letting you know that readings, tarot readings specifically, divination, aren't predicting what is supposed to happen or will happen. Okay, it is reflecting back to you a state of consciousness that you're going to either resonate with or not, because you have an intuition, and your intuition is connected to energy. Okay, and energy is formless, it's not time bound. And so, therefore, it's going to resonate right here, right now, because the only thing that exists is right here, right now, in this present moment. There is no past, there is no future. There's just this present moment and everything happening all at once. Okay, so this is why your intuition is going to resonate with that energy. Now, if we are identified with the separate self, or the time-bound self, we're going to recognize whether it's something we've experienced in the past or something we're experiencing in the present moment. Most likely, we want to tap into the thing we're experiencing in the present moment. Okay, so if you tap into something that sounds like passing energy to you, then pick another pile. Now, if we tap into a future state, these piles will most likely not resonate and make no sense. But that doesn't mean that that messaging isn't for your soul at some point in time. Okay, it just isn't computing with your level of consciousness. And these are why these readings are timeless, for those of you guys who are wondering how it all works, because I get a lot of surprised people saying, why did it resonate? It's a year later and it resonated. Yes, that's because there's no such thing as time, but you have growth and ascension and a certain level of consciousness that can tap into certain concepts of inner knowing. Okay, I'm not talking about like intellectual knowledge. I'm talking about inner experience of knowing that you either resonate with or you don't, because it hasn't been a part of your unfolding of your ascension. Okay, so this is why I do timeless readings, and why I do readings in general is to help with the ascension, to help with healing, to help remove any sort of challenges, because when we have challenges, we tend to suffer. And nobody likes to suffer. So undue suffering does not need to happen. We all experience pain, setbacks, and experiences that might not feel pleasant when they're happening, but there is never a need to suffer. And we only ever suffer when we hang on to the pain, or we create attachments and stories and beliefs around such pain. Okay, so this is why I do the tarot. I don't do this to have subs. I don't do this to get views. I don't even do this to get a source of income. Okay. Spirit takes care of me, and I do have a lot of blessed clients that come through giving me all sorts of financial support, which I do really appreciate. It is very, very kind of you, very generous of you. And what I'm saying is, this isn't why I do it. Okay, this isn't my sole focus in regards to income. Okay, so I am completely here to remove myself so that I can read the cards as compassionately as I can, but also as transparently as I can. And sometimes it comes through as very serious. Okay, so first of all, I'm a Virgo, and I know I'm very serious. Okay, this is something that I'm not trying to do on purpose. I think it's just a part of how I've accepted me to be. Okay, and I only have two modes, and that's Virgo mode, very serious, and then Leo mode, where I'm completely just a child and completely just out of control, which no, not many people see that side of me. Okay, but I do have readings. I think one's called This Fucked Up Reading or something, and I couldn't stop laughing. I did post it because I do post all my readings, but yeah, that's me in like complete, like, Leo mode. And not many people get to see that side of me because it's a side of me that doesn't generally come out. So I don't intend on being, a hard nose or serious, or that this is anything serious at all. This is just a dream. This is just an experience, and there is no such thing as time. So whether you wake up in this lifetime, next lifetime, 100 lifetimes from now, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't, because everything's happening at once, right here, right now. So what does that even mean? Whether you wake up 200 years from now or in this lifetime, it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, so do not put pressure on yourself to wake up, ascend, or be on any sort of path that's going to create some form of anxiety or a race or a goalpost that is just creating more attachment and ego. Okay, so I hope I'm not creating any egos here, and I certainly hope to just help you have self-realization and shadow integration, okay, so that you are liberated from suffering. That's it, and that's all. So I did say I'm in a weird energy. Maybe I didn't. So I'm in a weird energy, so this could be an interesting reading. And enough of my monologue. Let us put these cards away, or these boxes away, and let us get into our three options. If you guys stayed throughout this rant, I do love you guys so, so much. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And pick your option 1, 2, 3. Maybe I should hold them up. What do you think? It's a piece of labradorite. Absolutely love labradorite. And option number 2, this is just glass with controlled air bubbles, glass paperweight. Again, all my fingerprints on it. And this is just a beach stone from, I'm pretty sure, the shores of a beach here in Manitoba in Canada. Okay, so yeah, so this is what I have. Beautiful angels, 1, 2, 3. I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, gorgeous angels. Pile 1, you guys picked the labradorite slab stone. Let's get into your reading. So we have all the cards ready to go. You guys can definitely skip this process, but I am including it in this video so we can pull these cards together, okay? Spirit, clear and concise message here for beautiful pile 1 in regards to what is getting in the way of their ascension, their healing, any of the work that they're doing to progress themselves spiritually or here in this 3D world. What is getting in the way of pile number 1? Did I call you pile 3? I don't know why. I totally just spaced out there, but pile 1, Spirit. Pile 1, what is getting in the way of pile number 1? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good of pile 1. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 1. Thank you so much. Pile 1, thank you so much for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed to be here doing your reading. Do you feel one more? Clear and concise message for pile number 1. What is getting in the way of pile number 1's healing, journey, ascension? Clear and concise message, Spirit, in a way that pile number 1 will understand. Thank you so much for this message. We have Saturn, Chiron revealing itself, card 51. Very fitting for a reading about healing. This is perpetual healing. Are we the perpetual shadow work group? Now, this is the tarot, which I don't think I'm going to use the tarot at this point. Okay, I don't know why I picked it up, but let's see. We'll sort of use the tarot to confirm. For pile number 1, this journey seems to be going on forever for you guys, I feel. Pile 1's healing journey. Pile 1's ascension. Pile 1's spiritual growth. What is getting in the way? What is an obstacle here? What was that? I had a breakup oracle. This isn't for all of you guys, but I will take a look at that breakup oracle because nothing in a reading is by chance. Everything is interconnected. Although this is a general reading, so not everyone is going to resonate with every single message. Okay, so perfect. We have a lot of cards here. We have Saturn and Chiron. So Saturn's the ruling planet for Capricorn and Aquarius, 51 or the number 6. So Chiron is like the wounded healer that's able to work with the collective because they have gone through certain challenges, and so they're able to learn from their suffering. Okay, but Saturn is a very heavy planet because it comes with a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, and a lot of maybe we have to self-sacrifice some immediate pleasures in order to attain future gain in some way or some capacity. Okay, we see the presence of 5, and 5 is conflict, loss, change, and rebuild. So let's see. We have hysteria, excessive emotions, simulation, delusion, agitation, overexcitement, affective dependence. 56, or the number 11, mental tendency, stress level. Type 2, the helper emotional center between giving and receiving. Okay, so 11 or 2. And we have rationalization, 34, or the number 7, defense mechanism. Rationalization, logical justification, explanation, reasoning, idealization, sublimation, intellectualization. Type 7, the enthusiast thinking center between pleasure and pain. And we have abandonment, 15, and the number 6, basic fear, ego level, feeling unsupported, cowardice, betrayal, defection, separation, feeling excluded. Type 6, the loyalist thinking center between mistrust and trust. Okay, and then we have desire. Harness its power to manifest dreams, not delusions. Longing, yearning, and craving. No, desire in either form is actually not good in any way for any sort of healing, because it's the cause of our suffering. This doesn't mean we don't have preferences. This doesn't mean we don't enjoy things, but it's talking about manifesting dreams. So loneliness. I know that I am never alone. Okay. Surrender to your soul's path. Your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson and every moment. And we have liberator, light attributes, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. Shadow attributes, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Mercury. So Mercury is the ruling planet for Virgo Gemini. It is all about communication, words expressed, either written or verbally, what is being said and maybe what's not being said. Number 3, and we have Virgin's Milk. Number 40. So this can even give the illusion of something that it doesn't necessarily exist in its form, but we're chasing it. Okay, kind of like attachments. There's the hen, divine feminine energy, and we have the stone. And I just heard coming home. In fact, this probably talks about something about coming home, if I'm not mistaken, in the book, but I did hear coming home. So the stone could definitely be something solid. Could represent the 3D world. The stone also is like the first density level, where there is just, like a matter. It's not even like a living sort of organism at this state. It's just earth, which is the first sort of density. If we look at it in the levels of density, I'm not talking dimensions of consciousness. I'm talking about the densities. Okay, so earth, wind, fire, water. So this would be earth. 67. Okay, and then we have apathy. Ignite your passion, for it's the antidote to indifference. Indifference, disinterest, and detachment, with a beautiful sunflower. Apathy. Ignite your passion, for it's the antidote to indifference. And we have remembrance, 38. The frequency of remembrance supports our memory of everything that we have gone through as a soul in body, providing us with valuable information and tools to flow gracefully with and in this life. Well, we're kicking it back old school, aren't we? Pile number 1. I do feel I'm going to look at this one and play it into context. Divine timing. What do you know? This pile feels so divine. I mean, they're all so divine, but the message here is so clear. Okay. So I am going to sit with this energy though, and make sure that I'm respecting everything I see here before I start to channel, and then we'll get into your message. Actually, before I get into your message, I want to read this one here. And I think we should read the stone as well. If you guys don't like reading, you can definitely skip ahead. Okay. So 51, Saturn, Chiron, conjunct sextile trine primitive. You are a sadist to yourself and others, equating pain with some kind of pleasure and wiring around this pattern is hard to change. Adaptive, you recognize that you have a great responsibility to your own healing, and that's to help others, which you feel committed to do. You must first do the work on yourself. Evolving, you are an avatar of mature, thoughtful work that leads to great healing in yourself and others. People come to you for help because of your intense devotion to yourself and your healing techniques. In conjunct opposition square, primitive, you feel defeated and destroyed by your wounds. There is no way forward and no way to heal. Adaptive, you take the concentrated pain of being wounded and make it into something useful or practical for others. A medicine, a piece of art, a tool that will assist others in healing. Evolving, you are a disciplined teacher of the healing arts. All right, so let's get the stone, shall we? And then we will begin. 67. It says the eternal, the anchor, the rock. As an archetypal object, the stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is one of permanence, concreteness, and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly oh my goodness. I'm having a hard time even seeing these words as I age, and two, having a hard time reading, but I can speak. I swear I can speak. I don't know. You guys read that word. Imperceptible? Wow, I'm just seeing jumbled words. All right, to us, as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans, a single stone may see thousands of generations come and go. Therefore, it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side. So no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. When this card appears, it is likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us, humble and easy unnoticed. The power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. Steadfast, loyal, committed, and present when dark, weighted down, holding back, and cold. So I didn't really mention home, but I felt like it was coming back to this present moment. Okay. So now let me sit here with this energy. This is really interesting, because I do feel like this is could be a message for everybody. It really can. Okay, unless you're completely in a state where you've completely transcended all your ego and are very much not pulled back into, the identity of the I. So unless you've really connected to oneness and non-duality, on a permanent state, then this could definitely be your reading. Okay, but this can go even to those who are unawakened. But I can resonate with what's happened here not too long ago when my energy gets all off kilter. So this isn't to shame, blame, or say who's where, okay? But this does feel very, very much like someone who has not had an awakening at all. And those of us who have had awakening, who could even be far into the road of non-duality, could certainly still resonate with this story, okay? So I want you to stick to this as best as you can, okay? But everything is in divine timing. So if this is something that is not understood, then it might not be your time to peel these layers back. Okay, so one, Spirit is talking about divine timing. There's nobody out there that's going to know your pace better than you in regards to ascension, growth, and inner spiritual experience. It's not something that could be read in a book. It's not something that could be practiced through crystals or tarot. It's not something that's going to be attained anywhere else except for discovered within yourself once you release what is not you. Okay, so we might have pressures around it's taking too long. It's not going the way that I want. Or we might see a goalpost of where we want to go. And so we might be comparing ourselves to people, and maybe there's certain outcomes that we want. If only we were awakened, if only we were more ascended, if only we understood spirituality or further along, then we could attain some state, which is ego in itself and also a big fat illusion, because there is no time except that of divine timing, which is all happening right here, right now. So there's an attachment. Okay, there's definitely attachment, and there's a whole bunch of layers here. So I'm not going to get into so much of it in depth, but I do want to cover it all, because if you're new to spirituality, all of these areas are areas that become very apparent to you that are stories and illusions. And when we're in our mind, meaning we believe ourselves to be the separate I, we resonate with the mind and we attach to that identity. And then we can't step outside of that. We can't get into the being, the awareness that our being can have about who we truly are, our soul or essence. And so we stay in the mind. Okay, so we stay in the mind talking about what we want to attain because we don't have something. So that is ego. We are chasing some form of thing that we feel we lack. So that's a belief in scarcity, and scarcity is a mindset. It's a belief. It doesn't exist unless you believe it to exist. Then you see scarcity and lack. So we feel alone. Some of you guys could be trying to bring in a partnership, trying to bring in a lover. Okay, I feel like this, though, could symbolize us feeling separate from everyone and everything, because we are still learning about non-duality, that we are one with the Creator and we are one with everything, and everything is one with us. We are not separate. There is not a separate I and a God out there that I pray to, and there's not a separate I and a lover, sitting in Michigan and I'm in Alaska. No, there's just the body and the manifestations of the 3D world that are coming and going. Okay, shifting, changing. They're not permanent. They're forever shifting and changing. And what is permanent is the consciousness behind those manifestations. Okay, and you are the consciousness behind those manifestations, but we need to connect to it. If we think we are the manifestation itself, I am Linda, the tarot reader, I connect to that identity, and I'm not Linda, the tarot reader. This is something that my being is doing or experiencing. Okay, I'm observing myself doing this, but I'm not doing anything. Okay, so we believe to be separate. We have a soul's journey here, and for everyone it's different. You're being called, when it's your time, to walk down a path. How this unfolds for you might be completely different than other people. Do not compare your journey to anyone else, okay? Because your lesson is going to unfold as it should. The only time we ever suffer is when we resist or we attach to certain things that make the journey unpleasant, okay? Because it's going to unfold the way it unfolds. We can either make it a pleasurable ride or we could make it a ride of suffering. But the bus is going to get to where it needs to go. Okay, so you're being freed. And what are you being freed from? You're being freed from the false self. You're being liberated from egos. You're being liberated from the attachments, the desires, the identities, and the story that we believe that you are all the things that you say you are. I am this, I am that. You're none of those things. So free yourself from all that. Okay, and so I feel like there's an authentic part of you that wants to be expressed. And there's also an authentic part of you that is being called to experience this so that you can contribute to the collective. Some of you guys will be engaged in really pushing forward, however you do, by whatever means. I'm using tarot. You can use whatever means you need to help the collective with their own ascension. Okay? Because once we go through this process, we are automatically connecting to all is one, therefore I am of service. Because when I am of service, then it is not a selfish, separate me that tries to attain, but I am in service to others. And when we are all connected, me helping others is helping me, and it's all one big energetic collective consciousness. Okay, so you have a purpose. Now, I feel like some of you guys are really, really in an early stage. And so we really believe in Santa Claus here. Okay, what is Santa Claus? Santa Claus is the story of the identity of who we say we are. That is not true. It is a belief, and when you believe it, you create that attachment, and it creates this energetic string, if you will, okay, to that story, and then that becomes a reality to you. But just because everyone believes in Santa Claus doesn't mean Santa Claus is a real being. Okay, just because I have a strong attachment to that belief doesn't make it more of a valid belief. And so you have a lot of beliefs here. Okay, which means once I get this person, then I'll feel fulfilled. Or once I attain this thing, meaning I have a belief in lack. Once I get this thing, which means I have a belief that I'm a doer. There's already a whole slew of falsities when we have desire. One, that we are a doer and we could attain. Two, that we need to attain, therefore there's lack. And three, that we're chasing outcome, and only when I have that will I be whole and complete, because I'm separate from what it is that I'm trying to attain. So you could see how all of that is one big falsity wrapped in many different layers. And so how we peel it back is going to be unique to everyone, because if we get to the root of this whole thing, Santa Claus is fake, then we know that the North Pole with Santa's hut most likely doesn't exist. Neither do the elves, neither does going through the chimney, neither, once we get to the roots that Santa doesn't exist. But if we just say, well, elves don't exist, Santa's elves, we still might believe Santa exists. Or if we say, well, Santa doesn't really have a sleigh that drives around with reindeer, we might still believe Santa exists. Okay, and so unless we fully believe Santa doesn't exist, then we know that the sleigh doesn't exist, the elves don't exist, the reindeers pulling on a sled don't exist, he doesn't go around delivering gifts don't exist. Like, that would chop away this whole illusion, mirage that doesn't exist. And what's not existing is wrapped up in one big bubble, just like I explained, with the desire to an attachment to a someone or a something. Only when I get that, then I'll feel whole and complete. There's three fundamental falsities, like I said, with that lack. I'm not whole and complete already. I'm not the divine. I'm not connected to oneness. So we need to inquire and look into that. Why? Okay, now we don't need to do anything, but if we want to be liberated from suffering, we're going to want to ask, why do I believe in a separate I? Is this just an amalgamation of thoughts, identifications? Okay, and really connect it back to one state of consciousness, and then really play out once I attain that person, place, thing, car, house, whatever, job, then put yourself there. Are you whole? Are you complete? Or will the ego put another carrot in front of you? I'm sure we've all experienced driving the Lamborghini or moving into the mansion we always wanted or getting that dream job or whatever it was that we thought was, the shiznitty. And then, first day novelty wears off, second day, whatever. However long it takes, perfect relationship. 10 years later, you're wanting that person to, turn the other way because they snore too loud. Whatever the thing is here, it's not going to make you happy. Your ego is telling you it's going to make you happy. So fulfill that attainment of that and know that it's going to bring you nothing but another set of things to chase. Okay, because that's how the ego works. It is on a perpetual hamster wheel of chasing and attaining what it wants forever. Okay, and there's always going to be something better and someone better and something that we didn't get. So I assure you, attachment to outcome does not get you liberation. Okay? And the other one here was a belief in lack, that everything isn't happening right here, right now, which means then we aren't really understanding how the divine and the universe works, which is all abundant right here, right now. And if we don't get that concept, then that's fine. But we need to look at that concept and see how we're seeing this then, and who is seeing and attaching to the timeline. It is the separate I. And that is a story and a belief that you've constructed from your perception. So your perception is calling the shots. But again, if your perception says you saw Santa, that doesn't mean that Santa is actually real. No matter how much you want it to be real or how much you've seen it in your mind's eye, it doesn't make it more real. Okay, so we're believing in something here. So ignite your passion, for it's the antidote to indifference. So we have indifference, and it's very hard to read that, detaching and disinterest. So we definitely need to detach, okay? But I feel like some of you guys might be, there's a couple of messages coming through. We might fear losing this identity because then who are we if we're not our ego? Okay, but that is a fear of the ego. That is more of the Santa Claus story, because we are not those egos and those stories anyway. So the analogy I can give here is, let's say we lived our whole life. We went to, graduate school, and we won a Nobel Prize, and we had a family, and we had all of these achievements, accolades, experiences. And then all of a sudden we got hit in the head, and then we had an amnesia and forgot everything of who we were and what we did. Would we cease to exist? Would we be dead? Let's say I had those experiences and then I fall, I crack my head, and I don't remember who I was. Are we going to say, well, Linda's dead? Linda is just her awareness now with no attached anything, but it doesn't make me less me. It just gets rid of the egoic me, the separate I me, the identity that I created. And I feel like there might be some fear around losing a sense of self for some of you guys who might be slowly moving into this sort of territory. Okay, but we don't lose self. We just lose the attachment and the egoic stories, which could be very scary. We lose the story we told ourselves. We see through the false self. We see through, because this card talks about sometimes contracts, and it's what's not written in the contract that might be the thing that's missing or obvious. Is kind of like a spiritual awakening, or like, the shedding away of the false self. Because when the false self falls away, what's revealed underneath that false self is the true self, the authentic self. We don't have to seek it or read about it or meditate until the truthful self comes. It's not something to attain, and some of you guys might be trying to attain that state of enlightenment or that state of awareness. It's not an attained seeking state. That state is a state of being that shines through on its own once we realize Santa doesn't exist. And then the true self shines through. So it's what's not being seen or said that we actually connect to, the essence. But we have to get rid of all the filler. Okay, the filler is the attachment and the stories and the beliefs here. So I do feel like we have a excessive attachment here to the 3D world. And I do feel like we are trying to rationalize with the mind, certain experiences. But if we use the mind to, like I say, debunk the mind, we cannot get out of the mind because we're still in that level of thought. Okay, so this isn't a rationalization. This isn't something that's understood on a logical level. And so if we're in thought about thought, we can't get out of thought to identify who is actually the thinker. Okay, so I'll say that again. If we look at our thoughts and say, who is it that's having these thoughts right now? Like, who is thinking these thoughts? It can't be me, the thinker. There's something preceding the thought itself, and that is the space here. Okay, and so we can't keep feeding the rationalization mind because we're stuck in that attached story. But once we question and we self-observe who is having these thoughts, who's trying to rationalize this, what are they trying to rationalize exactly, and who is rationalizing? Okay, so I do feel like there is, again, this fear of potentially like losing self, or a fear of the ego coming through, maybe creating some form of hysteria, some form of not wanting to get abandoned, not wanting to get cut off, not wanting to be seen. Okay, now it can't not want because it's not an entity, but the ego is the I that we create and the identity that puts up a fight and really tries to sustain itself and dig its heels with thought so that it can remain alive. Okay, now I do feel like to get to the root, like I said, we want to get to the Santa. I mean, we could realize that Santa doesn't, deliver gifts, which might be the first part. However it unfolds for your realization, for everyone it's different. But for a lot of you guys who want to sort of get to the root, although this could be very earth-shattering and very shifting, is when we realize Santa isn't real and we get to the root, it's like there is no separation. Okay, because that's the root of this understanding, is when you know that there is no separation between you and the divine, or you and anyone or anything out there, and that the manifestations are all happening and we're observing. Okay, then it's like we deal with that in which we feel separate from, creating the loneliness, creating the main problems here that aren't allowing us to, I say problems, but creating this sort of suffering. Okay, so this hand is telling me that there is a need to allow ourselves to be in a receptive energy and do feminine healing, as well as when we are doing healing, we got to do masculine shadow work and feminine. Okay, and I won't get, like I say, into too much of that, but it's important to do a mixture of both when we are doing shadow work and self work, because the masculine is all about the mind Okay, and so we start to self-inquire and we understand, and so we can really connect to observing why we said and did what we did. We can even understand our traumas maybe, and why we're attached to certain things, and why we sort of do certain things. Okay, so it's good to know. But if we don't deal with the feminine, which is the release of the emotions, we still have the trauma trapped. Okay, and trauma can be trapped in a lot of different areas in our body, in our chakra system, and in our emotions that are trapped. So this is crying, this is talking about it, this is releasing, this is allowing ourselves to sort of energetically deal with the emotions. Okay, the feminine healing. Okay, so some people get really stuck with the emotional feminine healing. I've talked about it, I've cried about it, and even understand to some capacity, but they don't deal with this masculine healing, which is really understanding the root of their suffering. And so they perpetuate more challenging situations, okay, in their world, more separateness, more belief in lack, and more trying to attain, and they don't get, and then they have suffering, and then they have to release those emotions again. So it's like a perpetual sort of trap. And then we have those who are, understanding themselves, but haven't dealt with their emotions and are really bottled up here. And it's like, doesn't matter what good of understanding they have of why the trauma happened. It's like there's a need to really connect to the emotional body so that spirit, body, and mind are all functioning in a balanced way. Okay, so I feel like this is all about getting you into a balanced state so that you can navigate in this 3D world as somebody who is spiritual, as somebody who is balanced, as somebody who is grounded. And instead of being in this 5D world, potentially, of spirituality, we could bring this down to the 3D world. So some of us are putting this all together, but we're not quite sure where it's all sort of going. And Spirit's really delivering a message here for those of you guys with a greater purpose of healing through whatever means. Like I said, some of you guys might be delivering your own healing channels, however you provide service to the collective. And it has to be sort of brought back here to earth, because it doesn't matter how spiritual we are if we're, living on a hill up in the Himalayan mountains, like an enlightened monk, removed from the world. I mean, we could certainly do that. We're not under any obligation to do anything other than that. But, it's really not being of service to the collective. It's more of, I found peace because there's nothing to irritate me up here in the mountains. So now we got to bring it back. Okay. And so Spirit is saying, it goes full circle with this remembrance. Okay. And why it's full circle is because first we're on this believing and identifying that we are the separate I. And then something catalyzes us in some way that triggers us, and we suddenly go into some form of tailspin and do all the spiritual work or some shadow work, and we could stay here forever. Okay. And Spirit is saying, once we sort of understand the balance here and do the work that removes whatever is sort of keeping us in perpetual state here, we go back full circle, remembering that there was actually nothing here to do, because there is no seeking, there's no attaining, there's no chasing, there's no point in which we're going to reach where we say, oh, I'm done my spiritual growth, or I'm spiritually enlightened. No, there's just self-realization and then integration. And then we're back full circle, almost like a newborn baby where we know nothing. And so really, when you come to the state that you know nothing but this present moment, and everything you thought you knew was actually the illusion, because everything you think you know is not necessarily real in this present moment. And it's an experience of the past. The past is an illusion. Your perceptions, your judgments are all illusions of the past. It doesn't exist. So in this present moment, we know nothing. It is all fresh. It is all new. It is all present. And everything in the future, we also don't know. because we have no concept. We're imagining a better time, imagining, attaining something. It's a fantasy. And so that doesn't exist either. So we can either be in the fantasy of Santa Claus in the future or the fantasy of Santa Claus in the past. But in the present moment, there is no fantasy. There is no illusion. There's just dealing with the present moment without getting lost in thought and being full circle, like they say, a newborn baby, knowing that there was nothing really to be healed about us because the present moment is all that ever really existed. Okay, so we were just attached to pain stories and experiences of the past that we created identities and attachments to. So, beautiful angel, I will read your tarot because I did say I would pull tarot, but all of this stuff, it could be overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming, then it might not be your pile, But I do feel like this pile could definitely be a lot of people's pile, like I said. Even mine. I could certainly, all of a sudden get stuck in some thought story of rationalization, and then I got to bring it back to, oh, wait a minute. That doesn't exist. That's a separate I creating all sorts of stories that aren't necessarily true. And then bring it back to, this present moment. So Spirit, what does pile one then need to know about this block that's getting in the way of their ascension? Clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good. So we have the King of Cups in reverse. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Who's getting in the way of pile one's growth and ascension? We have the 10 Wands in reverse. Surrender. So what's going on here in the emotions that might be blocked here? Remember I talked about feminine healing? Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So divine guidance, divine timing, the soul's path. That would be this Wheel of Fortune. This is in the reverse. So are we trying to be the doer? Are we trying to create an awakening? Are we trying to create enlightenment? But we're not surrendering to the divine way. Something in the emotions are blocked or needing to be dealt with here. And I don't know, it says hysteria, excessive emotions. Could this be excessive connection we have to our emotion that doesn't allow us to detach from the story? It's definitely a need to surrender here with the 10 Wands in reverse. High Priestess, intuition, and more Pisces energy. So why is this 10 Wands here, Spirit? Page of Pentacles, that's more this sort of stone energy. That's the 3D. And why is this Wheel of Fortune in reverse? 9 Swords, Dark Night of the Soul, anxiety, inner mind, prison, and the Magician, Virgo, Gemini, and the Magician is the manifester. So what does it say? Harness its power to manifest dreams, not delusions. And the King of Pentacles in reverse, which is Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, Gemini. Okay, let me piece this together because there is a very specific message coming through here for you guys, pile number 1. Oops, my cards are all falling. Okay. I feel like a lot of you guys have your eyes on the prize, whatever the prize is. Okay, when I get this thing, then I could secure it. There's an opportunity here for something in the manifest of the 3D world that you're identifying as being real. Santa Claus, it's not real. That doesn't mean you can't have experiences in this world. That means we have an attached story that something is real that's not necessarily real. That's creating a suffering because we believe in the story and we're emotionally so much attached to it that we're being called out here to listen to our intuition. Okay, but when our feelings are overloaded, it clouds our intuition. It clouds our inner knowing. We can't be guided by the divine because the way the divine talks to us is through our intuition. Intuition comes through dreams, signs, symbols, synchronicities, and through an inner knowing. The inner knowing is there, but it's clouded by your blocked emotions that are really tied to this sort of hysteria that I feel here, that's attached story or outcome or thing that you see. And Spirit is saying, we keep trying to help you here. Then the only way we can help you, okay, Spirit, is through your intuition. You think your intuition is open and ready to hear, but all you're really hearing and dealing with is this emotional body because you're attached. And so it doesn't give Spirit a pathway to come communicate to you what you're supposed to do. Because remember, Spirit is guiding you. You're not a doer. But if your intuition isn't clear and the pathway to Spirit open, then you're being guided towards ego. So Spirit's saying you got to surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. And what is surrender? Because I always hear, oh, I'm already surrendered. There's nothing I can surrender. No, as long as you are attached to your emotions, so much so that you think it's Santa Claus, that it's real, that suffering is real, that you're separate from the divine, that you're separate from the thing that you want. So as long as you think you need to attain something and then you'll be happy, then you're not surrendered. You still think Santa Claus exists. You still think this thing is separate from you. You still think that when you get something here, it's going to relieve you. It's the cause of your suffering. It's the story you've made up. You've made up that Santa Claus is real, and it's real to you, and I believe you. But I'm telling you, it's actually not real. And once you see through that, then it frees you. Then you've surrendered. And so Spirit wants you to manifest in a way that has more control. Spirit wants you to manifest desire, okay, although I wouldn't use desire so much because when there's desire, there's suffering. But Spirit wants you to manifest in line with abundance and warmth and joy. How do we manifest abundance and joy? Not through anxiety, not through lack, not through chasing, not through desire, not through only when I get this, I'll be happy, because we are in lack mindset. We are telling the universe that something is missing, something is lacking. So therefore, we're not actually manifesting what we want. We're manifesting more lack, chasing, and unfulfilled opportunity. So Spirit is saying right here, this is your keys to the kingdom here. You have a capacity to manifest. What you're manifesting right now is actually not in line with what you want because of a mindset that you have that's being blocked by your emotions that aren't allowing your intuition to be clear and ready to take all of the guidance that we're trying to give you to line you up with something that you say you want, from seeds to full fulfillment, to full manifestation. It's sitting as a perpetual sort of opportunity in the ethers here, ready to be carried out by you. But it will sit here until you surrender. It will sit here until you acknowledge the divine needs to guide you. You're not guiding. You have nothing to do with the guidance of it. All you have to do is sort of listen to the divine and steer your wheel according to where the divine wants you to go. But you're really clouded here, okay? So this is what Spirit wants you to know. Beautiful pile number 1. I hope this helped you guys. And I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, pile number 2. You guys picked this glass ball right here. And we're taking a look at what is getting in the way of your ascension. Any blocks happening in your healing journey here. Things that you're not necessarily aware of that might be causing stagnation or blocks in your ascension process, your shadow work. Spirit, clear and concise message for beautiful pile number 2. What is it that they are needing to know about this healing journey at this time that might be getting in the way of their ascension, their growth, creating suffering, creating stagnation, blocks? Does pile 2 need to know, Spirit, clear and concise message for the greatest and highest good? Oops, I don't know why I turned that one. We have Venus, Libra energy, and Taurus. Planet of love, beauty, could be the planet of the physical as well, physical appearance. Clear and concise message for beautiful pile number 2 in regards to the healing journey. Clear and concise message for beautiful pile number 2. Where are they getting stuck on their healing journey? All right. I'll move these out of our way. So we have the tarot, which we'll use a little later. Why am I feeling another one of these? A clear and concise message for beautiful pile number 2 regarding blocks in their healing journey. So let's take a look. We have child wounded. Light attributes. Awakens compassion and desire to serve other wounded children. Opens the learning path of forgiveness. Shadow attributes. Blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds. Resists moving on through forgiveness. Gambler. Light attributes. Willingness to follow intuition even when others doubt you. Shadow attribute. Relying on luck rather than hard work. And we have Venus, number 4. And we have surrender. I can release my need to control. And we have wolf. We have allowance, number 9. The frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way without judgment, without opinion, without fear, without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. Number 9. And we have the stone. This came out for pile 1. If you are drawn, I do highly suggest to go over there. The river, 34. Talks about the shadow and our emotions, and the vision, 55. 55 is a master number. It is change is the only constant, divinely orchestrated change. All right, and we have trust, confidence, certainty, wish, hope, aspiration, expectancy. With essence, growth level 102, or the number 3. Type 3, the achiever, emotional center between appearance and authenticity. And we have stinginess, stingy with his time, refusal to share, tight-fisted, inaction, inavailability, retention of knowledge. Look at my hands shaking. Oh my goodness. Sin, ego level 50, or the number 5. Type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior. That was weird. We have defense mechanism 33, projection, expulsion from yourself, external reproach, shifting, victimization, externalization, external attribution. Number 6, type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. 33 is also a master number, reproduction, creativity, humor, Christ consciousness, joy, and harmony. Projection. And we have paranoia, suspicion of conspiracy, mistrust, fear, trouble, psychosis, persecution, delirium, mental tendency 60 or 6. I don't know if I just read that. What is wrong with me today? Type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. And we have fear. Face your fears. Sorry, that's not what it says. Fear, face your darkness. It's the only way to find the guiding light. Anxiety, apprehension, and phobia. Paranoia, phobia. Compartmentation. I don't know why I always butcher this word. Compartmentation. Fragmentation, isolation, division, cleavage, lowering, separation. Type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior. Defense mechanism 32, or the number 5. And we have control. By letting go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves to genuine freedom, domination, manipulation, and power. And we have Moon in Chiron, number 16. 16 is moon energy tower energy in the tarot, right beside the moon. So moon is ruling planet for Cancer, and Chiron is the healer that heals through experience, other people, and the collective. It's a wounded healer. And we have the swan. Swan can definitely talk about love, which we had Venus right here. Okay. Surrender your fear of change. We had fear coming through here. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or you fear aging or death. Repeat the affirmation, I have faith that all is well. Okie dokie. Let me sit here with this energy. Okay. Beautiful people. There is a need to accept things as they are and to surrender. Now, it's easy for us just to say that, but without understanding how we're not doing it or what we're doing that doesn't allow us to do the surrendering is what creates the suffering here. Okay, at the root of our ego, there is fears. Okay, fear drives action. And so your ego has a fear belief that if it allows something to unfold, it is out of your control, and therefore it could go any which way and make you feel very uncomfortable. But what you're saying is that you have control, that you, the little I, have more control than the divine, that you actually have any doing in the matter that's going to control outcome here, that's going to change something. Okay, and Spirit is really saying that you have no control. Divine has the control. Divine's always had control. We might have believed in the illusion of control, but we never had control. And so there's a need to allow. Okay, but I feel for this pile, and like I always say, if this isn't your energy, it could definitely be someone around you, or, you know, if we're dealing with a relationship, this could definitely be the understanding of a partner that's creating suffering in our world. Why are we suffering here? If we're in the hands of somebody here who's very controlling, they're very stingy. Okay, the stinginess isn't because they want to be, now I just flipped it because I don't feel this is your energy. I feel like you're dealing with somebody like this. Okay, but you could take this lesson, if you will, into peeling back whatever you need to peel back. Maybe you were just being told to let go of your engagement, of how to engage with this person, because I am feeling the stinginess is kind of coming through here as someone else, or I don't know, it's not coming through as you. But this Four Pentacle energy is like there's not enough. And so I come from a place of lack, and so I hang on to what I want. And I don't trust in sharing. I don't trust in letting go or opening this up. And so this person could certainly be mirroring your energy if you aren't allowing, if you're trying to control a situation with this person, and this person is trying to also maintain control, also stemmed from fear, is creating a lot of mistrust. What's this mistrust? Mistrust of spirit, mistrust of this dynamic, mistrust of the other person. If somebody's stingy, withholding, we don't trust them. And if we don't allow, and we don't be a safe place for somebody to see themselves, then they don't trust us either. And I feel like there's two people looking at each other, not trusting each other, with paranoia, mistrust, all stemmed from fear. And Spirit is saying we're creating a projection. So when we look out there, we're blaming the other person. They're stingy. They want control. They're holding back. They have fears, fears of sharing, fears of engagement, fears of whatever. But do they? Or are we seeing ourselves in this person? Because we're also not letting go. We're also not allowing. We're also fearing taking this risk. And it wouldn't really be a risk if we trusted the divine and we actually understood how the universe is functioning. You're not risking anything. You're not taking a chance, so to speak. The divine is going to unfold how it does. 55. Change is the only constant. You, the little I, isn't going to change anything. You can't stop a hurricane. You can't stop a bus from hitting a person. You can't stop a tree from falling on your house. You can't stop anything. Okay? Yes, you can have choice, but you have choice once the divine unfolds in front of you in the present moment, how you sway. And right now, your only choice here is to either hang on, not allow, suffer, and not surrender, or allow yourself to trust that the divine is going to unfold as it does and allow this person space to see their own sort of lack mindset, if you will, because there's also a big fear here in hanging on. And if I hang on, then I have more control. It's an illusion. Okay, both people think they have control. This is the big obstacle getting in the way of this dynamic. Okay, now I do feel it is a love connection. And I do feel like both people are sort of positioning for control, positioning for their own sort of, it's not really independence so much, but it's like if I'm in control, if I'm calling the shots, then I'm not at the hands of the fear of what I fear. And what do I fear? I fear missing out. I fear of it not going the way that I want. I fear all these things. And Spirit is saying that that's a lack mindset, that you are believing that if you engage in a certain way, then you'll have a different sort of outcome other than the one that Spirit is trying to deliver here, which requires you to surrender and give it up to the divine by allowing. Okay, now this doesn't mean allowing people to treat me bad or allow people to abuse me and allow people to do all sorts of things. No, allowing means allowing situations as they are. We accept them as they are. We don't try to change it. We don't resist it. We don't force our will our way. We don't start to interject with more illusion, paranoia, suspicion, trouble in the situation when we're going to create more disharmony. Okay, so I feel like we might not know exactly what sort of stemming this person's need for control or fear. And I feel like there's two energies here who are both driven in action in the 3D world by their fear, which is, again, this inner child wounding that could have happened as a child. And instead of resolving and forgiving and healing what we've experienced as children, we then feel like we have to hang on and attach because we don't want to be without, or we don't want to be abandoned, or we don't want to feel unsafe. And so the only way we know how to do this is to use the coping mechanism that we used when we were a child that helped us throughout that navigating period. So I feel like this person is afraid of change. Okay? And we might be somebody who wants change. And we might be somebody who is wanting a manifestation here, a manifestation of love, maybe a manifestation of, I don't know, a flow of emotions. There's a big old shadow getting in the way here. Okay, and so in order for emotions to flow between these two lovers, there has to be resolving the shadow self. And the shadow self is in both of these people, one in you and one in your person you're dealing with, okay? And your shadow is also rooted in fear, but it's creating the projection. And their fear is most likely also an inner child, shadow in their emotions that's created in fear that it doesn't want change, that they're projecting. And so they're projecting onto you and you're projecting onto them. And neither of you guys are working together to trust the situation. So we can't help this person by doing the work for them, by making them see, by telling them anything other than having this realization ourselves. What are we realizing? We're realizing that we have no control, that when we act in this way, we still think we have control because our belief system is acting in a certain way. Okay, so I'll say this again. We might intellectually know in the mind that, yes, I know the divine has all power. But when we act in this way, we're actually saying the opposite, that we really don't trust the divine. We're really hanging on. We're not allowing. This means you don't trust that the divine has it under control, that you think that you, the doer, the separate I, is going to create something here that is actually an illusion. You're not going to create anything at all. All you're creating is projection and suffering. So the identification here would be, I need to surrender, I need to accept, I need to make space, and I need to trust that this person will figure it out as the divine wills them to, however long it takes, because that's the divine's will and way. I'm not going to force them to see. I'm not going to try to change them to see. I'm not going to force them into change when they're not ready, because the divine is saying what you fight up against, you strengthen. What you resist persists. And they're resisting and you're strengthening. And here we have these two creating this dynamic of energy. Okay, so let's pull some tarot and see what the divine wants to communicate. Beautiful people. I do feel like you want love and you do feel you're coming from good intention, but it's not about what's good and bad. That's subjective. Okay, so this is what the divine's telling you. It's the belief in you having control. It's the belief in you not surrendering and not allowing things to be because you think of a better way. You know of a better way according to you. That's a projection. You don't know anything. You're making a judgment that your way is better, or that your understanding is better, or that love has to go a certain way, or acceptance must go a certain way. And Spirit's saying, no, you only have projections of the past. Okay, this present moment is unknown to both of you guys. So we're not going to inject it with past stories and beliefs and judgments and a need for controlling outcome or controlling others or situations. And if we're not outright trying to change this person, it's the energy in the belief system by still feeling like the separate I has any impact in the situation. And when we feel we have impact by making decisions or control in any way, we suffer at the hands of not making an impact. And when something does go our way, we think, yay, that was me. It's like, no, that was the divine. So there is no sort of victory because of the little I. There's just responding to the divine as things unfold, and we can either suffer by wanting it to be different, or we could accept what is and drop or suffer it. Easier said than done. Okay, so really understand this concept. So what's this? 10 swords in reverse. So something has to come to an end. Someone might be resisting a change, an ending of something in their world, and it might be time for the divine to shift something. Something needs to come to an end. Okay, could be mindsets, fears, and all sorts of things that are still lingering here, and we're prolonging this. And so you're an active participant. So Page of Cups. This is apology. This is loving from a heart space. And we have 2 Pentacles in reverse. And we have the 8 Swords in reverse. And we have 6 Pentacles in reverse. We have Death in reverse, resisting, releasing and change, Scorpio energy. And we have the King of Wands in reverse, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius energy. What's under this Page of Cups? 7 Wands in reverse. Surrender. Okay. So your message, pile number 2. You might be dealing with somebody who is at a different emotional level than you. Okay? It's just how it is. We're not all at the same level of experience of emotional awareness. And this person could still be very young when it comes to understanding their emotions. Okay? They could be acting very selfish, or they could just be acting sort of not in line with maybe the depth of emotions that would make different decisions. So I feel like this person is definitely could be defensive and defending their position, in which Spirit is talking about, in order for them to not be defensive, for them to put down their wands, for them to be in line with energy that isn't combative. They don't need to be in defensive energy, and the only reason they'd be in defensive energy if they feel a threat coming at them. So like I said, the more we push up against something, it pushes up against us. It's like, a tree, let's say it's like hanging, it's about to fall. And when we stand and obviously a tree would be heavy, but we stand and we hold it up, we're pushing up against it. It doesn't fall, but it's pressing up against us. But when we move, it falls. Okay. So when the tree is about to fall and we're standing here pushing up against it with our resistance, not allowing, nothing changes, and there's this deadlock. Okay, deadlock happening. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see this. And I'm in a very funny mood today. So the tree is your person. Let's say changes when it slowly starts to fall. This stable thing that we have that can no longer sustain itself. It's about to fall, this dead wood, and you go and you push up against it. Okay, and now it doesn't give it space to fall. So we need to allow the person to release, allow the person to put an end to something here. The only way they can do this is when they put down their wands and surrender, when they don't feel threatened or like they need boundaries or to fight for something, so that they can see what sort of energetic mode that they're in. And so I feel like there's an imbalance in this connection. I feel like this person is needing to free themselves from limitations of why they can't let go, or what they can't put an end to, or what's this change actually look like? What are they fearing? What are they resisting? What are they not wanting to shift out of? Or why they think they can't let go or shift out of it, because there's a belief and a thought story here, which is really deep rooted, like we said, in fear. And so this person can't contribute to you. This person can't prioritize you or become available to you or work towards whatever it is here that you have good intentions on, because you want something. Okay. And this person is unavailable to invest, to choose, to show up, and to do the thing. Not because they're consciously doing this, but because the way the energy is set up right now, that they're too rooted in the fears and the projections to know any different. And you're fueling it by your engagement, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it. Okay, so we got to undo this mind story that we have control, both of you guys, but again, you can only control yourself. And we got to allow the tree to fall. We got to allow this person to sit with their energy as long as it takes for them to see the light, to see their own block, to see their own fears, to see the own need for control. We don't need to project upon them, because that would be busy them fighting us off, defending their position. We can't stay in a 7 Wands too long, because it's tiring fighting everyone off here. So I do feel like this person's genuine and authentic. We're seeing a Page of Cups. Okay, but again, what's the level of maturity here? The emotional maturity, I don't think very strong. This is the equivalent of a child. It's not even an adolescent when it comes to emotions. Okay, like in the light attribute is very innocent, but in the shadow, it's like very ignorant, selfish. A child is going to act in certain ways. And I feel like, we don't get mad at a child for reacting in a certain way when you turn off the light in the child. cries, it's like a response that the child is in. That's what this person is in, this response, okay? Something that might not be fully developed. Something that's creating this stinginess or this inability to invest because I don't want to change and I don't want to let go of this thing that I know that, again, it's not even a want. It's just I don't believe I can, or I don't understand how, or I'm not there yet, whatever the reason being. Okay, but we know it's just a mind story. And so I feel like it might be rooted in this person's lack of confidence, inability to trust themselves to let it flow. Because the King of Wands trusts his vision. He trusts in his ability and his confidence. And it's like something's blocked here. This person isn't trusting themselves to follow through with something. But it's not going to help their confidence when we are energetically trying to have a change of outcome here, you know? Just creates, like I said, the defensiveness. So I'm repeating myself, pile number 2. This is your reading. I hope this helped you, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye. Hello, gorgeous angels. Pile number 3. You guys picked this Winnipeg stone right here, speckled stone. Looks like it's sat in the sand forever. It is very discolored here, no matter how much I scrub it. I don't know what kind of stone this is, but we'll use it nonetheless. Beautiful angels. So I'm in a funny mood. I am unshamefully myself. We are going to take a look at anything that is blocking your progress. Okay? Your progress when it comes to healing, when it comes to ascension, when it comes to shadow work, when it comes to what's getting in your way of growth, expansion. Spirit, pile number 3. What is getting in their way? What is the big block going on here with pile number 3? Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 3. Pile 3, I'm so glad that you're here, allowing me to do this reading for you. Please keep in mind that sometimes we could be picking up energy of our situation or people around us, not necessarily your energy. Okay, so no need to get in a tizzy if it's not you. All right, for pile number 3, Spirit, what is this block? What is this obstacle or area of work that might need to be seen, understood, or experienced in regards to pile 3's expansion, ascension, and growth? Either spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, every realm, whatever wants to pull through here for the greatest and highest good. A beautiful pile number 3, which I love so much. Pile 3, I am so blessed to be here doing your reading. I'm so grateful for you sharing your journey with me. I know these journeys are not easy, and these messages are not easy as well. If it is not resonating, please go check out another pile. Ooh, look at us. Neptune, I do feel we're going to take the top and the bottom, but I do feel that there might be a few more here. Spirit, for pile number 3, what wants to come forward here? We have Neptune and Chiron. I do feel there's one more. For pile 3, Spirit, we have Sun Splendor. Wow, 10 of Cups. All right. I just read enlightenment. So are we on our path to full self-awareness? Pile number 3, let's see. Pile 3. What is getting in the way of self-realization for pile number 3? What is getting in the way of their enlightenment journey and self-realization? All right. Well, your cards were really lively. So we have Neptune, planet of fantasy, And Chiron, the planet of healing. Okay, this is the wounded healer that goes through very difficult experience in order to be of service to heal the collective. And Sun Splendor, like I said, could definitely be a 10 cups sort of energy pulling through. Let's do all of these. Why not? We have gold. And we have antimony. 27. Okay. And we have betrayal. Healing begins with acceptance and forgiveness. Deception, treachery, and backstabbing. And we have suppression. Express, don't suppress. Authenticity is freeing. Restraint, repression, and censorship. And we have shame. Embrace your flaws. I was going to say your flows. Your flaws. They are part of your unique story. Humiliation, disgrace, and embarrassment. Okay, we have surrender, resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and keep moving forward towards positive situations in your life. Don't click away, pile number 3, because you've been here since the dawn of time. You keep clicking on this pile, and I know you're watching me, and we keep saying we're not in resentment. That's for somebody out there who really, really feels they're not bitter. Okay. Surrender stress. Take a few deep breaths and exhale the tension you've built up in your body. Let the stress go as you come back to your center. And we have 49 with Jupiter, Pluto. Okay, interesting. So Jupiter is the ruling planet for Sagittarius, Pisces, and Pluto is the ruling planet for Scorpio. And we have child, divine, light attributes, innocence, purity, and redemption. Suggest a special connection with the divine. Shadow attributes, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. And we have acceptance. I am learning to accept the things that I cannot change. Some of you guys might have been called to pile number 2. And we have jellyfish. And we have Puppet Master. I'm getting Capricorn and Scorpio energy from that. And we have Cosmic Flower. Oh my gosh, I got to show you guys. I got this. It's Cosmic Flower shape. I don't know why I'm being called to show you, but it's protecting my energy here. And it's copper. It's a copper necklace here that sits over my solar plexus. If you guys are like feeling drained by energy vampires, people who might be sort of draining your energy, okay, this is a good necklace to wear or something of this sort because it vibrates energetically at different megahertz. I will put the information. I don't sell these or make these. I got this on Etsy. Oh my goodness, look at that. So somebody might be feeling energetically sort of drained, you know, because energy vampires, people in general, will pull from the solar plexus. That's why we feel in our gut area, kind of in that area where we feel the pull when people are sort of draining our energy. Okay, I didn't read it. 18, Cosmic Flower. The frequency of Cosmic Flower activates our remembrance of the place we call home, the core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. 18, or the moon energy. So moon is Cancer and Pisces. We have the desert, number 37, or the number 10. And we have angel. Light attributes, helping those in need with no expectation of return. Shadow attributes, acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. So we have autism, turning inward, schizophrenia, isolation, distance, introversion, and confinement. Type 5, the observer, thinking center between interior and exterior, mental tendency. And we have stubbornness, determination, perseverance, obsession, willfulness, dodginess, restlessness. Type 9, the peacemaker, instinctive center between forgetting and asserting oneself, mental tendency, 63 and 9. I'm getting Libra. I'm getting more moon energy from this. Not getting a whole lot of Virgo from the 9, although it could be, but I'm feeling mostly Cancer, Pisces here, and Libra. And we have 105 with essence, growth level, faith, absolute certainty, loyalty, trust, belief, mysticism, spirituality. Type 6, the loyalist, thinking center between mistrust and trust. And the number 6 is lovers, Gemini energy. 5 here, 5 is all about change and conflict. So there is a little bit here that I want to tap into. This antimony first. Let's tap into that one in way of reading what the book says before I start to channel. And it says, wildness, fierceness, and hunger. In medieval times, antimony became known as the gray wolf of alchemy. This was due to the metalloid's unpredictable qualities and its ability to eat away at materials in the laboratory. Gold is one of the few materials to withstand the contact. What do you know? All the cards that barfed out. Gold is one of the few materials to withstand contact with it. For these reasons, this card must be read with delicacy. On one hand, it represents the wild and free spirit that longs to express itself in the world. On the other hand, it represents a fierceness that can turn destructive or corrosive at the drop of a hat. The message here is clear. Channel the gray wolf's energy towards creativity. Challenge it to come out from the shadows and express itself. Embark on the creative project or adventure that's calling you rather than focusing on why you can't. Once you begin, don't quit. The gray wolf responds to respect, not repression. Suppression, repression. Ooh, does it say anything about the gold here? It says, another interpretation of this material is that something is eating away or wearing away at the situation or person. Let this possibility open to deeper revelation. And it says, like many of the alchemy cards, the gray wolf can most easily be felt through the laboratory of the human body. Dance, run, shake, and breathe. Okay, so interesting because the shaking's coming through and I'm getting a download of a video that I watched yesterday. It's TRL is an acronym for trauma response. Is it TRL? I don't know what the acronym is, but it's a trauma response training or movements we can do. And it is where the body shakes in order to relieve traumas. Okay, it's very, very interesting. And so this might help somebody here. Very interesting that pulled through. But let us start to look at this and then I'll start to channel. Okay. Beautiful angels. I feel for this group a lot, I do. But I also feel like this group might be somebody who thinks they are maybe further along than they are in their healing. And this is what's creating your suffering. Okay, so we're going to be humble and we're not going to assume that we've healed certain things when we haven't. Okay? We experienced some injustice. Somebody didn't treat us well. And I have a feeling, because I've read for this energy before, it could have been where somebody sort of made us feel humiliated in some way, or used us in some way, or betrayed us. They lied to us. They made us feel shameful. We felt backstabbed and rejected and disgraced, okay? And humiliated. Whatever energy we carried, we're still carrying it. It's showing up as resentment. And I don't care what you call it. Paint it up however you want. That's the ego dressing up resentments as something else. Okay? We are hanging on to the story And I'm not saying that what happened, just get over it. That's not what I'm talking about. What we're hanging on to is the story that we identify as where we're at as a result of that experience, which is not true. So we're understanding something and we're creating it as though it's a reality, and it's not. And so I do believe that you are somebody here who is worthy, just like everybody else, of being loved, accepted, and treated with kindness and respect. Okay? And all of us are subject to the school of Earth, which is engaging with people who have shadows, as we have shadows. And some people have worse shadows than others. And some people have built up karmas. And so we don't know what your karmic contract was with this person or situation, nor do we know if it was right or wrong. All we know is karmically, because everything is tied with karma, that's energy, created an experience for you that didn't feel good and created this experience. This experience was created in order to generate something within you. And what it's generating here is, at the end of everything that you experience, is a beautiful rebirth of who you truly are, void of all of this stuff that we still attach to and think exists. The me who suffered, the me who experienced something, the me who's healing, the me who was kind, the me who did this, the me who was engaged with someone in this way, and that person was engaged in that way. And so I know that this story is real because I experienced it. Meanwhile, the past doesn't exist. It's an experience of the past. Therefore, it is not in the right here, right now. But the longer we attach to it and we feed ourselves with that, we're upkeeping it. We're the ones upkeeping the suffering. And so I feel like some of you guys are not allowing yourselves to process this and saying, I'm okay now, or I'm healed from this thing. But we're not really healed. And why we're not really healed is because as long as we believe the story to be a true thing, it means it's giving it power and it's giving that experience strength. And that's what we need to heal. We need to heal the identification to that experience. This is different than wiping it away, suppressing it, and pretending it doesn't exist. And I think some of you guys are pretending it doesn't exist, or I'm over it and it's no longer impacting me. And it's like, it might not be impacting you in the same way. You might think that you've let go of certain things, but what you're keeping alive is the story that you're telling yourself right now, whatever it is. Okay, because for all of you guys, it's on different scales of what you're saying. But that narration, whatever narrative you're telling yourself, I'm good, they're bad, or I'm over it and it's not, or maybe this person will heal and God bless them. I don't know. It could be a spiritual ego. But whatever it is, it's still an entity that doesn't exist. It's a fantasy. And this has to completely be, I was going to say suffocated, by not feeding it. So when we don't give the ego food, it ceases to exist. Meaning, when I don't feed that story as true, when that thought comes in my mind, whatever that thought is, that I was treated poorly or that I'm over it, or whatever the thing is, because when we even say I'm over it, we're saying it exists, and it doesn't exist. That is a figment of our own attachment to the past, and the past does not exist. Just right here, right now. This is what you're needing to heal and starve your thoughts, starve that experience until it completely dissipates and is no longer, it doesn't mean it didn't happen, but it no longer is energetically in your body field. This is what needs to be completely eroded. Everything erodes except for the pure self, the gold self. What's the gold? The essence, the actual part of you that is supposed to remain. Notice how when we read this antimony, the wolf ate away everything except for the gold. The metalloids that were there, everything else that was sort of subpar to gold dissipated. Because everything that is not your true essence is illusion, pain, suffering, story, identification, beliefs. And the belief, even if it's good, even if it's spiritual, even if it's I did the best thing, it's still a belief, and it's still something that's an illusion that needs to be swept away. Nothing happened to who exactly? You're not your body. You're the divine being, your essence behind it. So really, when this happened, who did it happen to? And I'm not trying to diminish anything here. I'm like literally talking from what Spirit is talking about here, because this is what we're healing, and we're raising our state of consciousness to know that we're not the body and we're not the experience. And so when we know we're not the body and the experience and the mind story, what's left? Just the pure being. And it is freeing and it's liberating and it's healing all at one, because when we realize that this never really happened to us so much, it happened to an experience that we had in the past that is actually no longer even in this arena anymore. It's completely dissolved. We're void of that. We're free. We're no longer suppressing it. We're no longer feeling shame. We're no longer feeling betrayed. We're no longer at the mercy of that experience, that shadow, and that trauma. Because I think what Spirit really wants to align you with is you're deserving of a 10 cups happiness. And this is true. I was getting enlightenment here, which is what? Self-realization. Okay, because I know we throw around enlightenment in the spiritual community like it's some state of, for special people reserved who spend years and years and years and years. No, we can reach a state of enlightenment, which is just self-discovery and understanding, and integrate the parts of ourself here that it's almost like it's not even really an integration so much as it is dissolving of the false self, of the stories and the beliefs and all that stuff. So all that remains is the pure essence. So now we can align with the vibration of a 10 cups. Situations, people that bring us joy and happiness. Because as long as we think that this happened in a way that we're attached to it, that it happened to me, the I, the separate self, then we're not vibrating, aligning with this. And so Spirit is really talking about your journey being specific to you. You're being guided here. Okay. And you're being guided to work with the divine. And there's something very divine about you. And so as you're being guided by the divine, only the pure essence self can be guided to this enlightenment. Only the pure self can be aligned with the vibration of the 10 cups. Everything else must be called out for what it is, dissolved. What are we dissolving? Illusions, stories, fantasies, projections, attachments. Okay? And so we still haven't forgave in a way here that allows it to completely disappear. Because if we say it never really happened in the way here to me, then we sort of diminish what has happened to us. So in a way, we're still identifying with the victim story. This doesn't mean we're moping around saying, I'm a victim and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, yeah, I forgave because I'm not. But whatever you are doing is still creating the identity of this thing that's happened. And so people can hang on to this for years and years and years and years and years and years, forever, and nothing will change. Stubbornness. Why doesn't it change? Because they need to shift how they're engaged. They need to call out what is the egoic self. And when I say egoic, it's the attachment I have to the identity of that being that got deceived, or that being that got, I don't know, that feels shame, or that being that had the experience. I still identify as that being. When you're not that being, you're not the body, you're not that experience. And right now you're in the mind of that being, thinking you're a separate I. So once you heal this, Spirit is saying you have something of value here that you're going to deliver to the collective consciousness. And I do feel like you will align with the 10 cups. So whatever happened to you, Spirit is giving a sort of an extra layer here, okay? One, it is never your fault in the way that you're thinking you had done something or could have done something to change an outcome. No. You're innocent, whether this happened to you or not. Your innocence is untouched here, okay? The innocent child, because I feel like a lot of you guys feel like your innocence was taken from you. And I feel like this experience has made you really cling to the divine, which is great, because I think for some of you guys, it might have opened you up to spirituality. or maybe tarot, and maybe my channel opened you up to spirituality. I don't know. But I do know that you're connected to the divine. You've always been connected to the divine, but there's an awareness that needs to be cultivated and seen, which is your connection to the innocence of the divine that you are, that is untainted. And you're not going to strengthen this and see this until we erode what is false and what actually isn't there. And then you can strengthen this connection with the divine. You can strengthen the story you want around your innocence here. Okay, because it's not really a story here. It's your essence is innocence. Your essence is love. Your essence is pure. It's not an attachment to a egoic way. Oh, I'm just innocent here and, everyone else is a victim. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your divine essence cannot be tainted. It cannot be taken advantage of. It cannot be used and abused. It is pure. Nobody could get to this essence light. Okay, and so I feel like a lot of you guys might have been in isolation, might still be, like really recuperating in the 3D world, even though maybe you feel like you've healed, or maybe though you feel like you're telling yourself something else, like I said, but we're still not engaged in leaning into this essence because our body might be physically stressed. And so this is why I think that whole necklace thing came up during the card layout that I was showing you with the cosmic flower and the TRL. I forget the acronym. I'm so sorry, but it's like the trauma response movements. But anyway, I think this is why it came through, because there's a need to not only understand the story, okay, and I wish I could use other words here because maybe it's not resonating a story to you, the attachment, the narration or the narrative you're using here to describe it to you, to who you are now because of this, okay, who you think you are and who you think you're an I that it happened to. The fact that you think you're the I that it happened to is the actual attachment itself. You're attached to that I. You're not. Okay, regardless if you say you're victim or not, or you're good, you're bad, or whatever, or I'm suppressing or not, I think that's irrelevant. I think it's the attachment to the I. I was the one this happened to. You're not. Your essence is pure consciousness, connected to the oneness, connected to all of us. Okay, the manifestation, the body had an experience, and just as all impermanent things come in and out of existence, we don't get attached to body. We don't get attached to the manifestations that come in and out of existence. They're non-permanent. The only thing permanent is your essence. And so this is not tainted at all. Nothing to be ashamed of at all, but we need to strengthen this. Okay, so there's a part of us we need to accept and we need to connect to. And I feel like there's parts of our physical body that might still hold energetic trauma. Back to, sorry, I know I'm all over the place, but that's TLR or whatever I was talking about. Because even when we do the mental work, and we might even do the emotional work, but there might be physical stress hanging in the body that we're not even aware of, that needs to be shaken out with anyway, meditation, yogas, or through actions of stretching or whatever the physical body. Because remember, the body sort of acts on its own. Okay, there's a mind of the body, and it is of the creator, and we're the observer, we're essence itself. And so this body, when it's in trauma, it starts to shake. We're not controlling it. We're not saying for it to shake. We're not telling the responses it needs to do. When you hear a loud noise and you sort of clench, you sort of shrug, that's an automatic universal response. We sort of make ourselves little, we shrink. Okay, why do we do this? It's the body who does this. We're not thinking about it. We're not conscious about, okay, I'm going to shrink right now. And that's because the body has its own navigating way of being. Okay, and so what are we dissolving here? Everything that's not pure has to go, so that the only thing that remains pure is the things that I am accepting of my essence. But I got to get rid of anything that's sort of trapped in my body as a trauma response of this thing. And I do feel like what we're really sort of trapped here or feeling is like other people have control, or like part of our self is incapable of fighting back. Like we're weak, or we're not strong enough, or we're incapable, or we can't defend ourselves against people like this, people who are manipulative or deceitful or liars or egotistical or narcissists or evil or that way. And no, that's a judgment. There's no that way. There's just what happened to you, and it's not even a you. It's an experience that was existing in a point of time that is now accumulation of energy, that if we strengthen it, it still exists. And so I feel like we're needing to really heal this shadow side of us in order for us to come into a realization of who we truly are, so we can accept it and identify where we feel like we're at the mercy of others, like we're powerless, when Spirit is saying, no, you're not powerless to others. You're powerless to the divine. The divine has control. The divine had control when this happened. It had nothing to do with somebody being smarter than you, pulling the wool over your eyes. It was all in regards to energy playing out karmic things that were supposed to happen in way of the divine. And the divine said you would have had no control over it. Whether you would have been smart, resisting, known better, didn't know better, it didn't really matter, because there was something divinely unfolding in order for this to be seen, in order for you to accept your divine light, your innocence, in order for you to connect. The divine would have had control, and you would have been like this jellyfish, not having any agency anyway. So whether it was them or the divine, does it really matter who, what, and when? No. What matters is right here, right now, and your pure essence. And so we're getting rid of all of the blame, shame, repression, and betrayals, who and the what, and we're strengthening our connection to the divine, our loyalty to the divine. Despite what's happened to us in the past, we're not getting jaded. We're not getting twisted. We're not getting resentful. We're not building stories. We're not building two-tiered systems. We're just saying everyone is a part of the divine consciousness. Me, this person, Linda, everybody. Okay, and so when I connect to the divine, I trust that the divine is doing everything in my favor for a great purpose. Sometimes it's things that teach me lessons that don't feel good, and sometimes it's things that make me feel okay. But either which way, I don't get stuck in suffering. I trust and surrender that the divine has a plan for me, and it's going to push me wherever it goes, and I'm going to accept the plan of the divine. I'm not going to get stuck in suffering. I'm not going to get stuck in stories. I'm not going to pull away and isolate for years and years and years, weeks and months, because of what has happened to me. Because when I do this, I'm saying I don't trust the divine. I don't trust that the plan was to get me to flow. Okay? The divine has a greater purpose and plan for you. This is why it's happened. This is the plan for you to accept this part of you. This part of you cannot be impacted here, okay? And I do feel like you're creating undue suffering and stress, and I do feel like there's trapped things in your energy body that is separate from even this I story. Okay, but remember, where's the divine leading you to? Happiness. Because the divine never leads you someplace that's going to be worse off than you were. There's always ascension. You might have experiences that are challenging, but the path is always that of ascension. And sometimes we have to hit rock bottom in order to move forward. But we're always moving forward. And that's why everyone's journey is different. It might seem as though someone's going backwards, but really they have to go down that path in order to go down a different path. But it's always about getting us closer to the divine, getting us closer to God, getting us closer to the reality of who we are, despite which way the path goes. It's never going backwards the opposite way to the end of time. It's always going to move us towards getting our fulfillment. At one point in time, we are united with the divine when we ascend. Okay, when we go through all the different density levels. Okay, and so we're ascending as a collective. And I feel like this sort of separate I am the little I am the one that's experiencing, I'm separate from the divine, and therefore I had this experience, is going away. That's not true. That's an illusion that we don't need, and it's created by ego. Okay, and the ego is very, very stubborn. It wants to hang on to that story, because what happens when we say it doesn't exist? The ego has no more identity. It eradicated. It doesn't want to be eradicated. It's stubborn as F. It wants to be alive and call the shots. But remember, the ego just creates more suffering because it's only going to create aversion to what it doesn't like, and then it's going to try to chase and attach and attain outcome to things and then be unhappy. And so we're either unhappy and suffering because we don't like it, or we're going to be unhappy trying to attain and desire and be happy for all of a ham sandwich and then be miserable again because we're on the hamster wheel trying to attain desire and happiness. Meanwhile, happiness is connecting to the center, connecting to the essence, connecting to the divine child within you that is pure, where you're being guided to accept. Okay, beautiful angel. And the only way this comes out is by getting rid of everything else that is getting in your way of this, that is the poison or the attachments or the whatever you want to call it, the things that aren't real. Okay, beliefs, identities, egos, shadows, pain stories, things of the past, and stored energy bodies here that need to sort of be released so that we understand what's happened to us in a way that we fully heal, and then we can deliver to the collective from that healing energy more healing, because that's what you're being called to do. Beautiful angel, this is your reading. I hope this helped you. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.